Ronald Acuna Jr. solidifies his MVP case in a comeback win against the Cubs on Wednesday night. We'll discuss all that on today's episode of Locked On Braves. So let's get into it.
You are Locked On Braves, your daily Atlanta Braves podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, and welcome back to Locked On Braves, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta, where we cover your favorite Atlanta sports teams each and every day. I am your host, Jake Mastriani. You can follow me on social media at ShortstopBall. Make sure you check out the podcast there as well at LockedOn_Braves. Send in any questions, comments, or feedback that you have for the podcast. We'll have our mailbag episode on Friday, so be thinking about the questions to submit there, and make sure you follow us on X at LockedOn_Braves. Well, I'll send out a tweet asking for those questions. Please submit those questions there to be answered on Friday's mailbag episode. If you're new and watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. Also hit that thumbs up button as well to help support the show. Thanks so much for all the support that you give me here at Locked On Braves, watching every day, making this your first listen, second listen, whatever. As long as you listen daily or whenever you can, I really do appreciate it. Big shout out to Doc's Cards, Joe Milby, Adam Dowd, Whit Dog, and Elmo, some OGs to the Everydayer Club there. Thank you for letting me know on the last podcast that you are still an everydayer of Locked On Braves. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. On today's episode, we are going to break down Wednesday's dramatic comeback victory over the Chicago Cubs. Another come from behind win, this one in extra innings, just a thrilling game that it was. A lot going on in there that we'll talk about, but mainly want to focus on Acuna and the game that he had and how he just took over the end of that game and carried the Braves to a win. And if that doesn't speak to being valuable and the most valuable player, I don't know what does. So we'll get into all of that. Then we'll do our trip through the rest of the league as we got 4 dates left in the regular season. What's left to be decided. We'll talk about the MVP, Cy Young races, all of that as well, and then set you up for Thursday's game. One more against the Cubs, and it's going to be A.J. Smith-Shawver on the mound. Could this be another debut or another opportunity for him to prove that he should be on the postseason roster? Does he get that opportunity? We'll discuss that later. But let's get into Wednesday's game, a 6-5 win in 10 innings over the Cubs. Braves have been much better in extra innings this year, just, in general. Whenever the Manfred rule came into place with the ghost runner at second, feels like the Braves just always struggled in that scenario, but that has not been the case this season. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that they just don't strike out quite as much, and they're putting the ball in play a little bit more, and that certainly helps in those scenarios to be able to get that runner in. Great job by Orlando Arcia. Something probably gets overlooked. That first batter in the 10th inning, he did a great job of pushing the ball the other way, moving the runner from second to third. It forced the Cubs to bring the infield in, and then Acuna got that big hit, something we didn't talk about on the postcast, but something I don't want to get overlooked there. Great at bat by Arcia to start that 10th inning. Maybe the best game of the season. I know a lot of people have reached out to me on social media saying they thought it was the best game of the season with everything, that happened and the history that it was involved in. And the other game people mention is the game where you had the 4, the guys in the booth, had the Hall of Famers and Jeff Rancourt in the booth for that Mets series, the first time they did it in that game, and how great of a game that was. So it seems like it's between those two games. If you agree, and this is your favorite game of the season, let me know down in the comment section, or if you got some other submissions, because when the regular season's over, I'll do a full podcast going back on the best games of the 2023 regular season. So you want to go ahead and submit some of yours now, definitely take a look at those. But I think this one's got to be in there. And especially when, again, you consider the history made in this game, and Acuna's, making history all season long. And look, I don't want to be the guy that says it doesn't matter what happens in the postseason, because it's a crapshoot. It's not always fair. And I don't want to go ahead and sound like sour grapes now in case the Braves lose, but this is the most incredible regular season I think I've ever seen. And at the beginning of the year, all I asked for, I didn't ask for a World Series. I asked to give me one full, healthy season of Ronald Acuna Jr. because I wanted to see what he was capable of. and he has blown my expectations out of the water. I mean, that was the one thing I said at the beginning of the year, and I've said it all throughout this season, even when he's going well, just please stay healthy. Please stay healthy, because I want to see what a full, healthy season of Ronald Acuna Jr. looks like, because I don't know that we've ever fully gotten that when he's, at his best. And we've gotten it. And what we got was the most incredible season I think I've ever seen. And I think maybe we've ever seen in baseball history. When you look at, the round numbers that he's put up, the 200 plus hits, 40 home runs, and 70 stolen bases, hitting over 330. I mean, it's just incredible. You look at 140, pushing 140 runs, over 100 runs batted in. It's unlike anything we've ever seen. And this is no disrespect to Mookie Betts, who is an incredible player, having an incredible season. And in most years, he probably runs away with the MVP. But there is no way that a voter, unbiased, could watch that game last night and not vote for Ronald Acuna Jr. for NL MVP. In my mind, the race has been over, but I think this was that one more, just if you needed more confirmation of why he's the NL MVP, this is why. He took over this game. I mean, the Braves offense, somewhat sluggish throughout. They had scored a run previously before the 8th inning, but you get to that 8th inning, you're still down by a run. The Braves need a spark. Who delivers it? Acuna. Gets a single, shoots the ball the other way like he's done so many times this year when the Braves just need him to get on base. Steals a bag when everybody knows he's going, and was clearly affecting the pitcher. I mean, the pitcher couldn't throw a strike early in that at bat. Acuna goes to steal, and Yan Gomes, who does a great job throwing out base runners. He threw out Ozzie later in this inning, airmails the ball. I mean, it's just the effect that he has on the pitcher and the catcher. But he gets on, he's still second. He scores on a ball that a lot of people probably don't score on right there. He scores and ties the game. Acuna does that. That's exactly what he did. That's where his value is. Comes back later in the game, in the 10th inning. I mentioned, the RBI hit. Arcia moves the runner over to third. Acuna comes up, shoots another ball the other way, just doing what he knows he can do and just shoot that ball to the other side to get an easy hit, to drive in a run and tie the game again. Not only that, then he's still second again. First pitch where everybody knows he's going. It wasn't even a great jump, honestly. Probably one of his worst jumps, but he's able to get in there. Dansby drops the baseball, and then he scores on the hit by Ozzie Albies to score the game-winning run. Acuna does that. Nobody else in baseball can do that. And it's just, again, he's the MVP. It's clear at this point. And again, if you needed any more, if you were still sitting on the fence, Mookie, Acuna, watch that game, because that game right there should be clear evidence why Ronald Acuna Jr. is the MVP this year, best player in baseball, having one of the most amazing seasons we have ever seen. So, and in the 70th bag he got, obviously, in the 10th inning, gave him a 40-70, or became the first player to have 40 home runs, 70 stolen bases. Look, he was the first to 40-50, the first to 40-60, obviously the first to 40-70. So it's just been an incredible, historic year for Ronald Acuna Jr. Got to mention the clutch hitting by Ozzie Albies as well. Twice he came through with some clutch hits, driving in Ronald again. I got to believe part of that has to do with the fact that the pitcher has so much focus on Acuna on the base pass that Ozzie's getting these good pitches to hit. I mentioned before, the pitcher had already fallen behind because he's so worried about Ronald at first that he falls behind in the count 2-0. And then I just got to believe Ronald has some sort of effect there on the pitches that Ozzie is seeing. But great job by Ozzie. And I was surprised to see, I went back to July 26th. Ozzie's batting .321 since then. He has 65 hits, 9 home runs. He's slugging over 500. I'm someone, I thought Ozzie had been kind of cooling off here a bit lately, especially, when he had that little injury and some time off. But since July 26th, he's hitting .321. So Ozzie, has been really consistent. He's really only had one, every month he's had this year has kind of been 240, 270. And then these last 2 months, he's been 300 average wise. So he's actually gotten better as the season has gone on. And then Marcell Ozuna, big home run in the 9th inning to tie it on a 3-0 pitch, tied at career high with 37 home runs on the year. And it was, again, a 3-0 pitch. Braves have a team OPS of 2.587 in 3-0 counts. That's 4th best. And they have the most at bats at 18, which means they swing at a lot of 3-0 pitches. They have 6 home runs in 3-0 counts this year. That's easily the most in baseball. Next closest is 3 home runs. But again, Braves swing the most in 3-0 counts, and they get some of the best results in those counts as well. And what a big swing that was, because it would have really hurt to lose that game, knowing what the call was earlier in the game where the umpires gifted the Cubs a run. I want to talk about that and Darius Vines more next here in just a second. Before we do that, I want to tell you about Gametime. You shouldn't have to worry when you're buying tickets to your next big event. Gametime is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, view from your seat, and their best price guarantee, Gametime takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. You're looking for Braves postseason tickets. They're all sold out. You got to go to Gametime. You'll get your best deals there. Get those postseason Braves tickets. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONMLB, LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Braves will finish their series with the Cubs on Thursday at 7:20 p.m. Eastern. Catch every pitch of the Braves' hometown broadcast on SiriusXM with the SXM app. Search Braves. All right, getting back into Wednesday's game, a lot to cover there, but I do want to make sure we talked about Darius Vines and the outing that he had. 6 innings, 4 hits, 2 walks, 3 runs, only 2 of them earned. Both came on solo home runs, and 90 pitches, had 5 strikeouts as well. What an unbelievable performance when the Braves desperately needed some innings out of their starting pitchers. You get one from Darius Vines, who's been really good in whatever role the Braves have needed him this year. I'll be honest, was not high on him coming into the season. Obviously, he was injured and delayed his season, but even then, I had him way down the pecking order for Brave starters this year, but he's been really good. Even, coming back at the minor league level, he's been good. Coming out of the bullpen like he's done here mostly as of late, and then he gets a starting opportunity and he makes the most of it. I mean, he was fantastic. I said yesterday, I'll be glad if he can get 4+ innings. Well, the Braves got 6 out of him, and not only they get 6 innings, they got a quality start, and really just 2 earned runs allowed. Should have only been those 2 home runs that he did allow, the 2 runs on those solo home runs. One of the worst calls you'll ever see. Foul ball, umpires missed it, call it a pass ball, and a run scores and another runner advances. I don't know how every umpire misses that. I mean, when the catcher reaches back, the catcher knows if he just whiffed on a baseball or not. The catcher reaches back to get another ball. Be a clear sign and indication, okay, this is a foul ball. And even if you didn't see it, somebody else has to see that. So just a terrible call. Really thought it was going to decide the game in the end before Ozuna hit that home run in the 9th inning. But luckily it didn't. Snit got tossed as he should have. That was fun to see. Love seeing a pumped up Brian Snitker, but I don't know how you missed that call. But luckily the Braves were able to overcome that and win. And great job by the Braves and Darius Vines to not let that really get to them. And they just continue to work and move past that and ultimately are able to still win the game. Great job by Vines, mixing up pitches, that changeup, that cutter that he has. That combination works really well. Does he make the postseason roster? I think there's a spot for either him, Winans, who's going to get a start on Friday, or AJ Smith-Shawver, who's going to get a start on Thursday, especially in the division series where you don't know what's going on with Charlie Morton. And look, if Morton can't come back and you do advance, you may need one of these guys to start a game in the championship series. So I think there's certainly a case to be made for Vines, Winans, or AJ Smith-Shawver, and it may depend on how these guys look down the stretch. And this was certainly a good audition for Vines. Just a little note here. The Braves are 25-0 in their last 25 starts when they've gotten at least 6 innings out of their starting pitcher. So that's a key number here for the Braves. Obviously, if your pitcher's going deep in the game, it means they're doing well, but Braves are 25-0 in such outings. Bullpen was solid again. Tonkin, 2 scoreless innings with 3 strikeouts. I think he solidified that kind of, garbage role, if you want to call it that, just kind of bridging that gap, but at the same time, keeping your team in the game. He has done a fantastic job of that. If you have a starter that maybe only gets you through a lineup 2 times, maybe only gets you 4 innings, Tonkin's done a good job of coming in and giving you 2 innings and kind of bridging that gap to the back end and giving the offense a chance to come back. Yates was an interesting choice in a tie game. In the ninth inning, you had Jimenez, you had Minter rested, likely trying to avoid guys because you don't know what's going to happen on Thursday with AJ Smith-Shawver. How long can he go? You're probably going to need a lot of your bullpen guys then, but still thought that was an interesting decision. I can't trust Kirby Yates at this point. You look at his August, you look at his season, honestly, and it's just so weird. The strikeouts have always been there, but the walks have always been there as well. And you look at his August, he pitched 11 and 2/3 innings. He only gave up 2 hits, but he walked 11 batters and he struck out 15. Now you look at his September, 7 and 2/3 innings. He's given up 7 hits, only walked 4 batters, but has 12 strikeouts. So it's just such an odd season for Kirby Yates. And I just don't know that I can trust him. For me, he's behind Iglesias, Minter, Jimenez, Johnson. I think he's probably, that middle reliever that you use in the 5th, 6th inning of a game that's, somewhat within reach, but you're losing maybe by a couple of runs. I wouldn't use him in the 9th inning of a tie baseball game, certainly. But again, that was a decision. Luckily, the Braves were able to overcome it. But I do think Yates has moved down that pecking order a little bit in the bullpen. And then a great job by Jesse Chavez, only allowing the ghost runner to score in the 10th inning. Acuna kind of misread a fly ball. I don't think he would have had a shot at throwing that guy out at third, but might have prevented that run from even scoring in the first place. But still, Uncle Jesse doing a great job on the mound for the Braves. All right, moving to our Through the League Thursday segment. Not a lot to talk about this week. Did want to go through the division standings real quick. The Braves 102 and 56 on the year. Phillies are 89 and 69. They've won 7 games in a row, so they are dangerously playing really good baseball once again going into the postseason. I think there's certainly a threat in the postseason if they advance past that wild card series. You got the Marlins at 82 and 76. So you're guaranteed to get 3 teams in the NL East with a winning record. The Mets are just 4 losses away from 90 losses on the season. They're closer right there with the Nats at the bottom of the division. AL East, Orioles' magic number to clinch the division is 2. I don't want to make sure I get updated because I wrote some of this before games ended on Wednesday night. But right now the Rays are 2.5 games back of the Orioles in the East, so they should be locking that up here pretty soon. In the AL Central, the Twins have 85 wins on the year, which is the least of any division winner, and they have run away with that AL Central, which is just a really bad division at this point. The AL West right now, the Rangers have kind of separated themselves there. They have a 2.5 game lead on the Astros and a 4 game lead on the Mariners, who lost another tough one to the Astros last night. Mariners are really slipping at the moment. You look at the wild card race, and the Blue Jays are half game up on the Astros for that second spot. The Astros are a game and a half up on the Mariners for that final spot. So looking like it could be the Blue Jays and Astros getting those last 2 AL wildcard spots. Mariners pretty much have to run the table this weekend, and they'll have to do so against the Texas Rangers, who are looking to lock up the NL or the AL West. On the National League side and the Central, you can have 3 teams with winning records in the NL Central, which is crazy. Division not a lot thought of, but they have 3 really good teams now with the Cubs, the Brewers, and the Reds. In the NL West, the Padres are 8-2 in their last 10 and have a plus 94 run differential, but too little, too late. They're obviously out of it, but 3.5 games back of the final wild card spot actually are the Padres, but not going to get there. Just a disappointing season all around for them, but they are starting to show some of what we thought they could be at the beginning of the year. In the NL wild card, it's the Cubs and the Marlins tied for that last wild card spot. Looks like the Phillies and Diamondbacks are destined for those top 2 spots and will meet in the first wild card round. That'll be interesting. Both those teams are 8-2 in their last 10, so both of them playing really good baseball right now. But the Cubs and the Marlins tied for that last spot, and the Marlins own the tiebreaker over the Cubs. So be interesting to see what happens here down the stretch with that, who gets that last wild card spot to face the Brewers in the first round of the postseason. Series to watch this weekend. Cubs finish up this series against the Braves on Thursday, and then they face the Brewers, who have things locked up. We'll see if they try to stick it to their divisional rival. Marlins finish against the Mets on Thursday and then have a series against the Pirates, who have been ruining a lot of playoff contenders' chances here lately. So it'll be a tough task for the Marlins. The Diamondbacks finish against Houston. But again, I think they're in pretty good shape right now with 2 games up on the Marlins and the Cubs and the Blue Jays finish against the Yankees and the Rays, and Texas and Seattle, as I mentioned, start a 4-game series on Thursday night. Now, looking at the awards races here with just 4 games left in the season, so pretty much got all the information that we need here at this point, but I still think there are some tough calls for a couple of these, particularly AL MVP and AL Cy Young. AL MVP, it's probably going to go to Ohtani, even though, he's missed a lot of time here at the end. But you look at the other maybe best contender is Corey Seager. He's only played in 115 games this year, but he has the second highest WAR among American League hitters. You got Julio Rodriguez there as well. Marcus Semien also with the Rangers, I think has a case, but it's probably between Ohtani and Seager, and it's probably going to go to Ohtani. I mean, what he does on both sides, obviously. But I still think, you can make a case there for those guys. For the AL Cy Young, this is another one too. You got Garrett Cole, Luis Castillo had a pretty disappointing start the other night. Kevin Gausman, Sonny Gray. I think, one of those guys certainly could have a case. It probably is going to go to Garrett Cole at this point. But, I think, again, Gausman, Sonny Gray, you look at what he's done for that Twins team, kind of leading that staff to a division championship. But AL Cy Young's probably going to be Garrett Cole. By the way, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Who do you think should win these awards? AL Rookie of the Year, I think that one's a little bit more clear. Gunnar Henderson probably should run away with that one at this point. He's had a great second half to his rookie season, really helped that Orioles team take off. We already talked about NL MVP. It's Acuna. It's really crazy, though. You look at WAR, and I know WAR is not a perfect stat, but wins above replacement. You look at the NL MVP contenders, it's Betts at 8.3 WAR, Acuna at 8.0 WAR, which, by the way, 0.3 WAR, FanGraphs have said itself, that means nothing in determining, the value of a player. It's more so between 6 WAR and 8 WAR tells you there's a pretty big gap, but 0.3 doesn't really distinguish anything. And Freddie Freeman at 7.7 WAR. Now, why I wanted to point that out, Ohtani leads all of American leaguers with 6.6 WAR. So I said, there's a gap between 6 and 8. There's not a gap between 8 and 8.3, but there's a gap between 6 and 8. Tells you how great these players in the National League have been this year and how much better they've been than the contenders in the American League. Now you look at NL Cy Young. I think it's Blake Snell. 2.25 ERA on the season is just hard to ignore. I know his advanced metrics don't look as great as maybe some of these other guys like a Wheeler, like Strider. But again, I just cannot ignore the numbers that Blake Snell's put up this year. So I think he's the winner, even though Justin Steele has a better WAR, Spencer Strider, Zach Wheeler have a better WAR, Kodai Senga really good as well. But I still think it's going to be Blake Snell that wins that NL Cy Young. NL Rookie of the Year, this one's pretty clear cut as well. It's going to be Corbin Carroll, 5.7 WAR. He's a great player. If anybody were going to do what Acuna did this year, it's probably going to be Corbin Carroll or Elly De La Cruz, who, if you look at somebody who could potentially join the 40-50, 40-60, maybe 40-70 club, right now it looks like it could be one of those guys. But still, Acuna the first one to do it. We'll see if anybody's ever able to join him. Nobody's done it in the history of this game, which has been around for a long time, over 20,000 baseball players. Acuna's the first to do it. But getting back to the NL Rookie of the Year, Corbin Carroll, what a great season he's had. Kodai Senga in that mix as well. I don't love guys coming over who's been playing professionally at the international level for a while and being available for Rookie of the Year, but he's not going to win it anyway, so we don't have any Hideo Nomo situations this time around or Ichiro, but it will be Corbin Carroll. A little bit of news, Wainwright got his 200th win. Crazy to me, he's pitched for 18 years. He's a Hall of Famer, and he just now got his 200th win. Kind of tells you that the win mark doesn't mean as much today. Max Scherzer threw a bullpen trying to get ready for the postseason. He was initially ruled out, but Max Scherzer, he's going to work hard, his best, and try to get in there and make an impact however he can. So that's your Through the League Thursday segment, our last one of the season, the regular season, as we geared up for the postseason. Next, I'll tell you about AJ Smith-Shawver and his upcoming start on Thursday night against the Chicago Cubs. We'll talk about that next. Get ready for the NFL season with incredible offers from FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Plus, all customers who bet $5 will get $100 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Now is the best time to join FanDuel. The app is easy to use, and you can bet on everything from spreads to player props and more. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and kick off the NFL season with an offer you won't want to miss. Also, visit FanDuel.com/playsafe for tools and resources to help you stay in control of the way you play. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. Again, it'll be the Braves and the Cubs finishing their series on Thursday night at 7:20 p.m. Eastern. Catch every pitch of the Braves' hometown broadcast with SiriusXM on the SXM app. Search Braves. Now, news from Wednesday, mentioned already, Jase Smith-Shawver getting called up. I haven't seen the corresponding move for that yet. I would imagine it's going to be Jackson Stephens who gets sent down. He's done great work for the Braves since coming up, filling that gap there. So, again, haven't seen the official announcement of that yet, or here it is. They optioned Darius Vines. So I apologize. It's Darius Vines who gets sent down instead of Jackson Stephens. Well, surprised after he just had a good start, but that's the way the Braves have been doing it here lately. So AJ Smith-Shawver up, Darius Vines down. And also the Braves clinched home field advantage throughout the National League side of things. Only matters if you advance past an NLDS, but the Braves did clinch that, and they're just one win or an Orioles loss away to clinching home field advantage the whole way through. But again, it doesn't matter unless you continue to advance. Now, looking at game 3 on Thursday, it'll be Marcus Stroman versus AJ Smith-Shawver. Who goes the longest in this game? I think that's the question going in. AJ Smith-Shawver hasn't pitched more than 3 innings in September, as they've been limiting his work. And Marcus Stroman, he only threw 3 innings in his last start, 64 pitches, as they've kind of monitored his workload as well, coming back from injuries. So I think that's probably one of the biggest keys in this game. You had an extra innings game. Cubs have had to use a lot of bullpen arms. Braves have had to use some bullpen arms as well, although they still got, Jimenez, Minter rested. Iglesias didn't pitch yesterday, so they got some of their better guys ready to go. But how long do these starters go? As far as AJ Smith-Shawver, it's all about command with him. The stuff is obviously really good, but he's walked 7 batters in his last 5 2/3 innings, pitched at Gwinnett, just 1 earned run in those outings and 8 strikeouts. But again, that's a lot of walks. And you do that at the big league level, typically going to get hurt, especially a team like the Cubs who will take their walks and they have good at bats. Is this an audition for a long relief role in the postseason? I mentioned earlier, I think there could be an opportunity for him, Vines, Winans, in the postseason bullpen. And do we see Kyle Wright back him up? I kind of think we do. If it's going to be a short start for AJ Smith-Shawver, maybe he only gets you through a lineup 1 time, maybe twice, if you're thinking optimistically, and then Kyle Wright kind of back him up. I think that's probably a good strategy here for this game. You also got Winans going on Friday. So again, he's been solid since coming back, but I don't know that you can just have a lot of confidence that he's going to give you 5-6 innings. But again, we'll see how the Braves decide to play that. And then I mentioned this Stroman, great competitor, working his way back. Cubs need this one. They don't have that tiebreaker with the Marlins. Marlins are facing, the Pirates over the weekend, who, again, the Pirates have been playing really good baseball down the stretch, but certainly an easier task than what the Cubs have, facing a Brewers team that, again, might be looking to stick it to their division rivals. But, again, be an interesting matchup on Thursday. Could end up being a bullpen game if neither one of these guys can go very long in this one. But hopefully the Braves can finish off the sweep, stick it to the Cubs and Dansby Swanson, knock them out of the postseason, and keep just playing this good baseball that they have going right now. I love to see the intensity from these guys, the excitement that they had early in both of these games, coming back and win. This is what you need. This is what you want right now as you get geared up for the postseason. You want to see them locked in to each at bat. These felt like somewhat postseason games. They are for the Cubs, and the Braves seemed like they were matching that intensity in these games. You want to see that continue on Thursday, and hopefully through the weekend be a little bit harder going up against the Nationals, but love to at least see these games that the Braves have right now to kind of get locked in to that postseason feel and scenario. So that'll be at 7:20 p.m. Eastern on Thursday night. Vines versus AJ Smith-Shawver versus Stroman. Catch every pitch of the Braves hometown broadcast with SiriusXM on the SXM app. Search Braves. That will do it for this episode of Locked On Braves. Thanks for making us your first listen of each and every day. Make sure you follow us on social media at shortstopball and lockedon_Braves. Subscribe on YouTube if you're new. Hit that thumbs up button on this video. If you made it to the end, thank you so much for doing so. Give me a Go Braves in the comments section. Make sure you rate, review, and subscribe to the Locked On Braves podcast wherever you get your podcast, and we will talk to you next time.